Leonora Carrington was born in upper-class Irish Catholic family in England in 1917. She struggled to conform to societal standards for her to be a debutante and found refuge in her art. She enrolled in the New Art Academy in London, founded by painter Amédée Ozenfant, and became a surrealist artist. She then lived with newly divorced surrealist artist Max Ernst in 1937. Female surrealists were often dismissed at the time by critics, but he encouraged her, and her works were exhibited internationally. After World War II put an end to surrealism, Ernst was imprisoned at an internment camp, and Carrington fled to Spain, where she was then institutionalized at a psychiatric hospital for extreme emotional distress. They were never able to continue their relationship. Carrington found home in Mexico City among other feminist surrealist artists such as Remedios Varo and photographer Kati Horna. Collectively, their work was considered women-centered and instinctive. As a teen in Italy, Carrington was once inspired by the art of Italian artists Uccello and Arcimboldo. In Mexico, she combined these influences with her interests in spirits and the occult. Many of her canvases are filled with strange, furred, feathered, and horned beings. They are described as dark, colorful paintings of masked or hybrid beings, waiting in a space that is part recognizable and part fantasy, somewhere liminal between benign and malign. Carrington spent a period of time between her work in Mexico City, working in the States with her first husband, Mexico diplomat Renato Leduc. One of her most famous paintings, titled The Giantess, sold in New York for $1.5 million in 2009. The painting is oil on a canvas of 120 centimeters tall and 69 centimeters wide. As seen in the image, it depicts a childlike face on a large giantess body, the head surrounded by a crown of wheat glowing like a halo. Along with the strange birds emerging from her cape is an egg which appears to be hovering between her hands. This is assumed to reference a common motif in her paintings, which links to a diary entry from the time she spent in the psych ward, where she used to mistake an egg for a crystal to look at Madrid to Ernst. Below at the creature's feet makes out three women, which is another of her motifs, referring to herself, Varo, and Horna. Another of Carrington's most notable works is her self-portrait titled Inn of the Dawn Horse. She began this painting in London and finished it in Paris the following year. It has been called her first truly surrealist work. The presence of horses and hyenas are two symbolic animals that show up in much of her later work as well. The horse signifies an aspect of her freedom and liberty. She took great interest in Celtic mythology, and it is believed that this also has a link to the Celtic goddess Epona, who appears to her followers on a white horse. The hyena suggests intrusion of the wild into a domestic place. She identifies most with this animal by its wild outcast image. She once stated in an interview in 1999, "I'm like a hyena. I get into garbage cans. I have an insatiable curiosity."